hey, welcome to Hungary. We're going for the achievement in which we take all of the land from Austria. And it's harder than you'd think, because Austria isn't just a nice little next-door neighbor. They are the same religion as everyone on the freaking continent, and they're the same culture as, I don't know, maybe Bavaria? I don't know who they're the same culture as. They're the same, like, they're an accepted culture. Where's the accepted culture map mode, right? Who accepts Austrian culture? How do we check that? I thought the accepted culture map mode would tell me, but apparently it doesn't. It just tells me what my accepted cultures are. Well, what about culture groups? There we go. They're in the same culture group as the entire HRE, right? Even though Austrian and German are two separate cultures, they're close enough, I guess, that they accept each other. Very weird. So yeah, every time you beat up Austria, you're beating up a Catholic, and everyone in this area gets mad. You're beating up someone who's similar culture to them, so everyone in this area gets mad. And you're beating up a member of the HRE, so everyone in this area gets mad. So lots of aggressive expansion protecting Austria from being conquered. Nobody wants to see a conquered Austria. Nobody in the area where Austria lives wants to see Austria conquered. We're looting Serbia while we wait for nothing. Like, basically, we want to stay at war with Byzantium until the Ottomans peace out, and then we'll peace out with Byzantium and vassalize Serbia. We're in no rush because, like I said, we want AE to die down. We're going to try for one of these better relations over times advisors throughout the game. We're not trying to siege up Constantinople because that would increase our war score, and if we increase our war score, we'll get a call for peace, and that would be drastically bad. Be bad in 17 ways. We'd get war exhaustion for no reason, right? We couldn't sit on this war forever. We'd run out of breasts. So Venice attacked Albania. The Ottomans somehow fought Venice, but not for very long. And then Albania survived. So AI Albania, not dead. Not something you see every day. So pretty cool. If we can prevent the Ottomans from finishing their conquest of Byzantium, then that will weaken them very much. And they are a neighbor of ours that is the wrong religion. So we can take as much territory from them as is possible without anyone caring. So while we're sitting patiently waiting for our aggressive expansion with Austria to die down, taking land from the Ottomans is like a free money sort of situation. So if we can weaken them enough where we can actually feel like we can beat them and their allies in a fight, which I don't think will happen, but if that did happen, that would be very profitable for us. So we're willing to experiment towards possibly achieving that goal, maybe, but we're not very optimistic. Right, we've successfully looted these provinces, and now these ones are filling up. Serbia is completely full again, so we'll go all the way around to Serbia. I don't want to accidentally trigger these provinces to stop filling their loot bars. That wouldn't be happy. I'm going to wait a little while for Raska to get me some more money, and then we'll go loot them. You can see we allied France because they rival Austria, and France died to England, and they died to Burgundy. Well, I don't think they died to England yet. They died to Burgundy plus Castile, and they died to Savoy plus Provence, and I think they're also fighting Austria. No, they are no longer fighting Austria. For a while they were fighting Austria, but I don't think I ever saw Austria send any troops. So France might die in a third war. I've noticed basically every single game France loses. Not every single, but most of the time France loses. The changes to the 100 Years' War and the changes to I don't even know what else is causing it, but like there were some drastic shifts in how much value you can get out of land and you know who will ally who and how often people are willing to support each other in war, and you know, lots of things changed, and because of those changes, the scariest of all nations, the big blue blob, is no longer very scary. They just tend to die. I mean, they're still scary once they get enough ideas that they have plus 15 morale or whatever. But until they unlock that idea, they tend to be dead before that even happens. Then they make a big comeback later because their ideas are ridiculously strong. They get tons of manpower and tons of morale, and so they can beat people. But until that happens, they will be dead. So they tend to shrink and then grow. Right. They don't disappear, but they don't big blue blob either. And I think that one of the goals of this game is to be as historically accurate as possible, and I don't think that is very historically accurate, so it'll probably change. The idea that France just tends to lose territory to Burgundy and England so often. That is a possible historical outcome. There's no problem with that happening sometimes. It's just the frequency with which it happens. I think the idea behind this game is that hopefully 60% of the time things will turn out normally, or even 40% of the time things will turn out normally. So it looks like Bavaria and England are doing something over here. They're fighting Burgundy. Burgundy's fighting Bavaria and Venice. Oh, there's that coalition against them. I tried to join it, but it wouldn't let me. Because I had a truce. Yeah. It's a shame because coalition wars are fun. I think there's even an achievement for joining a grand coalition like this. I probably already have it, but still. Would have been fun. So the Ottomans haven't ended their war yet, so I can't end mine. I'm going to blame the king because he has committed an absolute faux pas today. I'm surprised that it's even possible. Civil War, Peasants' War. It's surprising to me that the oh, I guess it can only happen when you're not at war. There's an event that says if you have less than one stability and more than one global unrest, that you tick towards civil unrest. And if you hit it, then you get stability cost plus 50%, which sucks. But somebody told me it can only happen once per playthrough, so you're better off just having it happen early. Save up a bunch of admin points, trigger it on purpose, pay down your stability, and then it's gone forever, and you don't have to worry about going into negative stability in the future. But in my playthroughs, I've always had success just never letting it happen, which costs a lot more admin points than letting it happen on purpose, but uh-oh. So now we've got our call for peace. I was trying to trick the Ottomans into having no Byzantium, but I don't know if I'm willing to sit through a call for peace. I probably should have let someone unsiege one of these provinces. I think it's 5 years of holding a 100% siege against somebody, and then you get a 100% war score even if their allies are still in it. Shame, shame, shame. Shame, shame, shame. The shame of food. Alright, Ragusan separatists are going to revolt against me. So let's move some troops into Ragusa. Or maybe we should let them revolt first and then counterattack. We could increase autonomy, but we don't need to. Usually when I play a small nation like Najd, I'm increasing autonomy left and right because you need to, or else they're going to revolt. But with a large nation with a large army, yes, they're going to revolt, but they're going to revolt 8 guys, and you've got 30. So you just kill the revolt, and that's the end of that. Admin, I can up my admin, but I don't need to because it doesn't unlock the first idea group anyway. So how's our AE with Austria? It's down to 21. It's pretty low. You think we'll get a coalition if we vassalize these guys? I don't think we will. So right here you can mouse over this and it will say you will get a coalition of these nations if you do this, and it doesn't say that, so I won't get a coalition, so I can do it. So force religion I can't do, unfortunately. They're too big. Release Montenegro, why would I do that? It's weaken my own vassal, that'd be dumb. So it's just time to end the war and be sad about it. Sorry, Ottomans will be more powerful than we want, but what can you do? Okay. We need another rival because Lithuania, bye-bye. Could rival Bohemia, but they are Catholic. We don't want a rival to be Catholic because we already got a Catholic person to beat up. We want to have 3 groups of wars going on, right? We beat up these guys, whatever the heck, the Orthodox, and then we beat up the Muslims, and then we beat up the Catholics. And we take turns so that we can keep our AE low. So no multiple Catholic rivals. Personal union on our rival's death, I'm not worried about. That almost never happens because we get an heir eventually. I guess our heir recently died. Revolt's going to happen in Ragusa. Not worried about that either. I'm going to keep my army funded so that when that happens I can get in there and punch people in the face. Or maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should defund the army and just let Ragusa fall. Ragusa doesn't have a fort, so it would fall instantly. So I either got to keep my army full-time funded so that I can jump in there and prevent it from immediately falling, or I got to let it fall and then retake it. What type of revolt is going to happen? Separatists. They refresh the separatism counter, I think, just to 10, and since it's already 13, I don't think they would have any effect. So it might be okay to just let it fall. But I'm not gonna, because I got so much money, why not just keep my army funded, right? Our manpower is now at positive 3,000, it's no longer at negative 20,000, so that's good. Our force is up to 25 out of 27, it's not bad either. We're going to improve relations with our newfound vassal, as well as our old vassal. None of these guys are none of them are going to become marches. What's this? Our vassal wants to be a march. Well, we don't want you to be a march. So a march is a vassal that you never integrate, and they get extra fort defense, fort maintenance is cheaper, they get a bigger navy, they get a bigger army, they get more manpower. And their manpower comes back more quickly. Right, marches are great. I'm a big fan of marches, but it takes a relation slot, and unless you can grow them really big by feeding them territory from someone, I don't like to take marches. But I could feed the Ottomans to Wallachia. Thing is, I can feed Bosnia to Serbia. So I think if I'm going to make anyone a march, it should be Serbia. Yeah. So I don't think I will make Serbia a march, but if I make one of these guys a march, it should be Serbia. So I think none of them will be marches. So I can annex them in 5 years. How's the AE? Up to 43 with Austria, but that's not bad. Really not bad. Can probably start the conquest of Bosnia now and just loot their provinces for a long time and only finish it in 5 years. I mean, I want it to be done in 5 years because that's when I want to annex Wallachia, but I don't want my AE to go too high because my only allies right now are very weak, and Austria doesn't like any of them because that's why I picked them as allies. So the only thing preventing Austria from attacking me, and I'm outside the empire, so I'd be the perfect target for Austria. The only thing keeping them from attacking me is that they can attack Bohemia, and France is somewhat strong, and I'm somewhat strong, and you know. So if I get enough aggressive expansion that Austria can find more allies against me, they would come kill me. So wow. Apparently this province is not very good at holding troops. This faction is not increasing their negativity very quickly. I'm gonna half fund the troops because I suspect I could take 6 rebels with 12 troops at half funding. Alright, so you can see I'm building up a huge pile of money. I think I'm gonna use that big pile of money to kill Austria, but I gotta wait for France to recover from being completely destroyed by everyone in the world, and I think that's gonna take a while. Austria is also very mad about me taking over the Balkans. I was in a rush to get Serbia and Wallachia because otherwise the Ottomans will get them, but nobody's gonna take Bosnia from me. They're completely surrounded by me and Venice. Venice might take Bosnia from me, actually. If I wait 5 years, then Austria will only have 25 aggressive expansion against me, and then I can take Bosnia from there. If I go now, then I can't finish the war, but I can at least make sure Venice doesn't steal them from me. I don't think Venice is super interested in Bosnia because they don't have much. They only have one province in the Venetian trade node. How likely is it that we could beat up the Ottomans and win? They have no allies, but none of our allies want to help. France is actually relatively interested in helping. They would help if I gave them 1,600 gold. Brandenburg would definitely not help no matter what. Venice has a truce, but they would definitely help when their truce is over. So France and Venice would like to help me kill the Ottomans, which is good. It means I can probably kill the Ottomans. It'll take a lot of troops and a lot of manpower, but no problem, man, no problem. Once I tech up a little more, there's a building you can make that ups your force limit. I'll give you 25 administrative power if you insult the Ottomans, is what that basically said. I mean, I'll give you 15 prestige and negative 25 administrative power. Prestige is very valuable to me because it's hard to get when you're not able to constantly fight wrong religion people. Dun, 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 dun. Or, you know, do sort of let's fight our neighbors but not take anything sort of battles. Prestige comes from fighting, basically. If you fight a lot, then prestige is worth nothing. It also comes from colonization, and whatever else England has gives lots of prestige, because being England means having 100% prestige. Nobody knows why, that's just how it is. Alright, Ottomans are doing some reconquest. It looks like I did successfully prevent the Ottomans from getting Byzantium. Wow, so the Ottomans are going to be pretty weak. That's cool. Alright, Serbia is my good buddy. I can annex these guys in 4 more years. There's that revolt I was hoping for. Not hoping for, but expecting, and I'm ready to deal with. So we're going to send in all of our troops before they take my province from me. Go, troops! Now Serbia wants to be a march. I kind of think Serbia would make a good march. I'm going to feed them Bosnia and the Ottomans, and no problem. Kosovo is a gold mine too, so I would get a lot of inflation if I allowed... if I annexed Serbia, I'd get a gold mine, and that's not as good as you might think, because inflation is a constant drain on your administrative points. So 20,000 troops was not enough to kill 8 rebels at half funding. That's not good. But at least the rebellion won't spread. I could become the protector of the Catholic faith. Obviously I won't. But what I really love is that sometimes Spain or Aragon or France or England will become the protector of the Catholic faith, or even Austria, and they will take it seriously. They will send armies to help you if anyone attacks you. It's like having another ally. It's pretty cool. 60 military power or 2 mercantilism. So money or tech. Money or tech. I usually take tech over money, but mercantilism is so hard to come by, man. And it lasts the whole game, whereas both money and tech you'll long since have forgotten about by the end of the game. Mercantilism you'll never forget about. The later into the game you go, the less helpful additional money is, which means less helpful mercantilism is. So I don't know. I just like mercantilism in general. Make my provinces worth more, buddy. Buddy, old pal, my buddy, my pal. Alright, Serbia does it. Oh, they have a core in Ottoville. Peasants' War. Stop fighting. Our lads want you to have at least 10,000 manpower. Okay. So Kiev separatists are going to be in Meramos. Meramos is a big fan of being awful. It's only 5 development, and people can take it from you and then form Kiev and then feed Kiev. People can release it in war. It doesn't give me any money. I don't like Meramos. I'm thinking of giving people Meramos. Here, do you like Meramos, Kiev? Transylvania will form if you release Meramos. That's pretty cool. I'll give them autonomy. I don't care about Meramos. Alright, so the next war is with Bosnia, possibly Austria. It depends on if Austria loses all their troops and their allies. They're down to 36,000 troops with 0 manpower. I could easily fund 36,000 troops. What allies do they have? Ooh, they have no allies. Aragon is a big ally, actually. They seem like they're little, but they have about 30,000 troops. So if France had 30,000 troops, then I could count on them to beat up Aragon, and then I could beat up Austria, and those little people would try to help Austria, but by then I would have already taken some mountain forts, and then I'd be like, you can't attack me unless you're willing to attack a mountain fort in the middle of Austria, buddy. Then they'd be like, well, I'm not, so bye. Problem with that strategy is it requires me to have forts of my own to prevent people from just going around and sieging up all my territory, you know? If you have like some good strong border forts with Austria, then you can siege up Austrian forts, and then people have to attack into the Austrian forts because they're like, oh no, we have no war score. But if you don't have any of your own forts, they can just go around you and siege up Hungary, and that's not good. So I might put a fort here and a fort here, and then they couldn't get into Hungary through Austria. But not yet. The longer I can go with no forts, the more money I'll have when I finally make my forts. Peasants' War, stability less than 1. I kind of want stability anyway, right? It's not like it's expensive. I'll just go up to 1 stability. Sometimes I'll play chicken with the Peasants' War and just not up stability and let it keep increasing by 1 per month, and just say, how many months is it going to be until I'm at half manpower, and how many months is it going to take for the disaster to progress? Because it takes 100 months for the disaster to progress, but it only takes 10 years to fully fill your manpower pool. So it only takes 5 years to half fill your manpower pool. So it's really, you know, it's a race you can win most of the time, I think. All right, so we want to annex these guys, but we can't yet. Next year, about a year and a half. Excuse me. We made these guys a march because they asked us to, and that's the best reason to do anything, is because people ask you to. Which means we want to subsidize them because they're going to be our rebel for a long time. We want them not only to really like them, but we want them to be very strong. Meramos wants even more autonomy, where they're going to revolt, and I'm fine with it because they don't give me anything anyway. You can have as much autonomy as you want. I would give them 100%. I wish there was a check mark you could do to give a province 100% autonomy, and they would never revolt, and they'd never give you anything, and they'd just be your province in name only. They're an independent nation within your nation, and you don't care. I would check that box on like every province because I only need 5 provinces to win. They could call it satellites or something. I know that's not exactly what a satellite is. Alright. I gotta figure out something for my diplomats to do. I got all these diplomats. They're diplomating things. Go diplomat things over there. And then a year and a half I will Wallachia, and then I will attack Bosnia. So right now, Austria is weak enough I could probably kill them. If I wait too long, they're going to get more and more powerful, especially if Burgundian inheritance happens. The quicker we can rend the emperorship away from them, the better too. One of my ideas that I didn't actually test, I probably should have, was to release Croatia and Kiev and feed most of my territories to them and then join the empire. But I think that people used to do that with Poland, and I think they might have fixed it by making it so that your vassals count towards your nation size when you're trying to join the empire. But I don't know. Also, I think they made it so that only certain culture groups can join the empire, so you have to culture shift if you want to join. But I think Hungarian is allowed to join. No, I don't want to make you a march. Stop asking. I'm going to annex you soon, and you're not going to be happy about it, but I don't care. Alright. February, March, April, May, June, July. So not long. 6 months we'll be taking care of those guys. We didn't give them enough time to convert their provinces, but one of their provinces is Catholic, and that's good enough for me. This is going to bring me up to, I think, 4 wrong religion provinces, with me not yet being strong enough to convert them. If we can take win from Austria, then at admin tech 10 we become Western with no, like, instantly. There's no amount of time that it takes. Ooh, Janissaries, plus manpower recovery speed, plus discipline, plus infantry combat ability. See, this makes the Ottomans much harder to kill. Not good. I don't know why it keeps telling me about Western arms trade. Like, I will have it every moment of the game until I become Western. So stop telling me about it over and over, crazy people. Alright. Who should we cut ties with in order to, or stop improving relations with in order to annex Wallachia? We'll ditch France. Now, the one problem with annexing Wallachia, it will upset my other vassal, which I don't care too much about. But, more importantly, it'll reduce my reputation for 10 years, I think, which means that my allies will be less likely to want to help me against Austria. So it's possible I might want to start the war with Austria right on the last month before that happens, just so that all my allies will answer the call. I doubt it. I doubt that I'm going to feel strong enough to kill Austria anytime soon. But if I can get one military tech ahead of them, they're tech 4, I'm tech 5. See, Tech 5 is this place where you get new troop types, which means I can't hire the mercenaries I would want to fight Austria with. I'm about to get new troop types, and that means that mercenaries will be the wrong troop type. Alright. Not quite yet ready for my first idea. And Eastern Militia it is. So let's see if we can hire any Eastern Militia. We can hire 8 of them. Oh, that's not bad. And now we can build temples, which I think I want a temple in every single province. Except not Maramos, because screw Maramos, right? So each temple costs 100, and it gives me 0.13 per month. Ah, what a shame. I just teched up, and now it's like, cheaper tech, cheaper tech. So, calculator, 0.13 times 12. 100 divided by 1.56. So it'll take me 64 months divided by 12, 5 years. So temple pays for itself in 5 years. That's nothing. You know, why would you ever not want a temple? That's not right. 5 times, just take 60 years. Temple pays for itself in 60 years. Still, the game's going to be 300 years, so plenty of time in the early game to pay for itself. Now, that's not exactly the only way you have to think about an investment. Like, when will this pay for itself? You have to think about whether or not it's a better investment than spending that money to hire 20 mercenaries and kick Austria's butt without having to take out any loans, you know? Like, so, yeah, dude. But I'm still having AE problems, I don't think. Ooh, Milan, Mantua, and Albania are all going to join in here. That's cool. Milan, Mantua, and Albania are all going to join in here. But look at how many vassal troops I have. My vassals by themselves could take Bosnia, so then now it's just Mantua and Milan and Mantua against Venice and me. And I don't even... Yeah, Venice can probably take Milan and Mantua. So I guess it's just my vassals and allies against everyone. I don't need to do nothing. I don't need to do nothing. I might take Albania. Why not? It's a much richer province than it used to be. Now, I'd like to preserve as much manpower as possible for the inevitable fight with Austria, but once Bosnia and Albania are gone, Austria is all that's left, brother. Austria and the Ottomans. Let's put 1 troop in Albania so that if anyone tries to steal it from us, they will fail. And then we'll put 1 troop in each of the provinces that border Venice, because we don't want Venice stealing Bosnia from us. That would be bad. And then we'll use our army to chase these guys and make sure they're not holding up in Donji Kraji or something silly. Nope, they're gonna go west, young man. They're gonna go west. Alright, and I'd like to defund my army, but we gotta stack wipe everyone first. There's only 4 more provinces we have to defend. I'm surprised Venice came over here. I guess they probably got chased out. Probably lost a fight. Wasn't watching. Alright, let's go to Friuli. And I need to max out these relations. I already did. Gotta top off the French relations. And then I'd like to make friends with my little neighbor Bohemia. I don't want to ally them so much as I want them to be on my side if anyone decides to attack me. I want that good relations penalty. And I don't care if Austria, if Venice gets a separate piece here. See, I knew that might happen. That's why we got 1 troop down there in Albania. So now the Ottomans are going to siege up Albania for us. That's cool. We've got to probably Milan. I suspect we're higher military tech, better troops than Milan. This is a hill with a river. That's not exactly good. -2. It's minus 40% combat efficiency in crossing the river into the hill town. One guy suggested that it's possible that if you attack from multiple angles, you lose the river crossing penalty, and I don't think that's true. See, so if I attack from this province, there's no river. And if I attack from this province, there's no, there is a river. Okay, so, see, flanking, I don't think flanking is a thing in this game at all. I don't think it matters at all. So if I attack from here, I get a river. If I attack from here, I get a river. If I attack from here, I don't. So key is to just attack from whichever province doesn't have a river crossing and then reinforce from the other provinces. I don't know if I really want to be fighting all these guys. I was just kind of demonstrating a plot point or whatever you call it, and then I accidentally committed myself to combat. Whoops, my bad. I'm gonna win, so it's okay. I'll go to Brescia. Actually, we should probably stack wipe them. No, they're gonna hide in Navarra, which I can't get to, so you can't stack wipe them. Oh well, we lost all our manpower, but that's okay. So let's keep granting provinces to Serbian control. Looks like the Ottomans are gonna siege up Albania for us. Woohoo! We've got negative 4,000 manpower now. When I'm rich like this, I like to fight with mercenaries, but it just doesn't seem necessary. Like, I feel like it's better to keep your manpower at max while fighting with half mercenaries, half cavalry, than to keep your manpower at 0 and then hire mercenaries only when you need them, you know? Because if you only hire mercenaries when you need them, you get stuck with an all-infantry army, and that's fine, but it's not as good as a cavalry plus infantry army, right? Is Venice now capable of handling their own business? Do I really need to stay here? Serbia, 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 Serbia. Sometimes when you're like sieging up, like imagine France attacked Castile, and they lost all their troops, so you went over there and you full sieged Castile, and you wanted to give France control of all those provinces. It takes forever. So annoying. I think transferring control of provinces shouldn't be a 3-click ordeal. Click, move mouse over here, click, move mouse over here, click. It's like so much time. If there was a hotkey for it, like G, I could just be like G, 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 G. All of them are now French. Maybe Aruba made a hotkey for it, and I just haven't checked. Interesting that you're leaving. Counterseed Brescia. I wonder how Brescia is pronounced. Is it Brescia or Brescia or Brescia? I think I've heard Brescia. But you never know when, like, just because you've heard someone say that doesn't mean they weren't wrong too. Alright, this is hills with no river crossing. I think I can take that. 6 troops with hills and no river crossing, no problem. Just waiting for this. Visuki! Visuki. I think Albania is Catholic too, so disproportionately large aggressive expansion penalty for taking their stuff. Go to some Austrian mountains. Just chill. Chilling in the Austrian mountains. Oh yeah. Okay. And go help with Brescia. Brescia. It's spelled Brescia. If they were not German, if they were, or they're either Italian or German, but if they were English, that would be Brescia. Punks. Always using the same letters in different languages. I don't know who it was, but there was a comedian who was doing accents, and he was like, all accents really just come down to picking one letter and saying it wrong. So, for example, if you want to do a Russian accent, you just insert a Y in between every syllable of every word. And it was pretty funny. And if you want to speak French, they just take all the H's out. If you want to speak... Somebody did something funny with T. I think it was like Spanish had a funny T. Alright, Bosnia wants this war to be over, even though I haven't yet conquered Albania. And I think they're going to have to wait a little bit, man. They have to be patient. Albania is going to be mine. Alright, so let's give this to Serbia. Here you go, Serbia. I know how you always wanted Albania, and now you can have it. Wouldn't it be funny if I vassalized Albania and then fought the Ottomans in a defensive war for the sanctity of Albanian territory, and then I couldn't even take any territory from them because it was a defensive war, and you get huge AE for defensive war conquest. Very silly, very silly. The truce expires with Provence, Lorraine, and Savoy. Austria gains a claim on some of my territory. Albania decides that they do indeed want to give me all of their money. Thanks, Albania. You and me, we're good buddies. Do you have any prestige that I could borrow? Prestige. Oh, thanks, Albania. I always wanted prestige. Alright, Serbia. Serbia. Good. Alright. Trying to decide whether I should feed Venice some of Milan or just peace out. Do I need Venice to be stronger? Venice is my friend now, but I mean, control of the Venetian trade node is near and dear to my heart, but because they're Catholic and Italian culture, I feel like beating them up probably isn't in the cards. I got so much Austrian AE to get from the Catholics that taking more Catholic territory is just slowing down eventual Austrian conquest. So maybe making Venice stronger and then keeping them as an ally forever is a good idea. Maybe it is good. Maybe I should make Venice stronger. Maybe their strength is important to me. Alright, let's go home with our troops anyway. Because after this war ends, we won't be able to walk through Austria. We'll give them a chance. If I get a call for peace, I'm out. But if I can give them Milanese territories or Mantua, then yeah, no problem. Whatever. Whatever, bro. You can be as powerful as you Austrian want, Austrian. Just gotta make sure not to get like a huge coalition against them. It'd be nice to give them something I had a claim on, like Gors, but I'm not gonna give them Austrian territory because I want Austrian territory. They don't have any claims on this stuff, so if I gave them Milan, they'd probably get killed by a coalition instantly. It'd just be like, no, I'm sorry, you can't give Milan to Venice. I'm sorry, no. Saith the game. Alright, our first idea group. It is time. It is time. So I usually like to get the tech discount idea groups first. So that means innovative, administrative, diplomatic, and aristocratic. So you got to look at your nation and say, am I ever going to want aristocratic? And if so, take it first. Now, I don't know. This is like plus 10% military points. Which just means more manpower, right? Because additional military points above and beyond what you need to tech up, all they give you is manpower. And I'm not a huge fan of manpower. I feel like mercenaries are better than manpower. Army tradition is hugely valuable and hard to come by, so I like that. More manpower is also plus manpower. Hostile core creation against us means people will be more likely to release nations when they conquer you instead of taking territory, which is actually kind of a bad thing, because releasing nations is cheaper, so they will take more territory away from you. It just won't benefit them directly. But it also helps people not want to bother joining a coalition, not want to bother attacking you. Cavalry combat ability and cavalry cost, more, let's use more cavalry. I tend not to use cavalry at all. I'm not a big fan of cavalry. It's very handy for Eastern nations like Hungary, but I'm going to be Western not too long. It's very handy for horde nations especially, because they're hordes, and they have hordes of cavalry. I really like taking innovative first. I like taking religious first, because then I can conquer the Ottomans constantly. I like taking defensive for the same reason as aristocratic, because it's army tradition and morale. And less attrition for me is a big deal. Quality, obviously more army tradition. I think I'm going to take aristocratic, defensive, and quality, but if I'm going to take aristocratic eventually, I should take it first, because it just makes things cheaper. So the real question is trade, innovative, administrative, aristocratic, defensive, or quality. I'm going to chop these two off right away. Aristocratic, innovative, administrative. Those are my three tech choices. And then trade is just money. Don't think I'm going to take trade. So now we're down to innovative, administrative, aristocratic. Administrative for the cheaper coring, cheaper mercenaries, and cheaper tech. I'm a big fan. And innovative gives me 0 war exhaustion, so I can just constantly fight, and really high prestige, so that I can be constantly good at fighting. And those two things are very important. Also, it gives me extra general and cheaper advisors, which means plus tech. And I like all of those things, but aristocratic. Alright, innovative it is. Boom! Let's innovate, mother! Innovate good. I want to innovate some stuff. Alright, I'm going to defund my army because there's no longer any armies in the field. I've got a super cheap army, but hopefully I will have a super expensive army sometime soon, because cheap armies are for pansies. I'll go up to 5x speed and improve relations with Bavaria, because we like Bavaria in general. And then we're going to give Venice territory if we can. We've got to wait for our AE to drop down anyway, so no rush. Take as long as you can with each war so that your war exhaustion will constantly be above 0 for no reason. It's the key. The key. We need a lot of manpower before we can do anything anyway, so there's no rush. It's always easy to rush. So tempting. So rush tempting. Hey, we could be Russian. Ba-bam. Zips. Zips. I love the name Zips. There's a Z in it. Not every day you get to say Zips with a Z in it. It's good times. France wants to be our buddy France. Best friends France. Best friends France. France best friends best friends. Yay for France, there are best friends France, best friends. Alright. How much aggressive expansion will this give to Venice? 22.5. It's an awful lot. Let's check Venice's AE. Right now it's at 0, so I feel like this will put them at like 50 with Austria. 22.5 plus all the bonuses Austria gets towards aggressive expansion. Well, let's get a frame of reference. What if I took Milan as a vassal? That's 14, and for Austria it's 43. So what's the ratio between 14 and 43? It's triple, right? So if taking Milan is 22, then Austria would get 60 with Venice. Who are Venice's allies? Can they be counted on to keep Venice out of a coalition? Their allies are just me. If they were allied to like France and Castile and England, then I would do it. But let's go for something a little bit safer and give them Cremona. That's going to give them 15 times 3 is 45, which is still above 30, but you know, it's better. They'll give me some more reparations and some money, and we're going to cut ties. This is just for prestige. We don't actually care who they're allied to. We'd actually prefer they stay allied to Austria because we just beat them up, so they're not very strong. And that means they're taking up an ally slot for Austria without being very strong. Good times, good times. So how's the AE of Venice feeling? We got 45, exactly. We got exactly what we thought we would. It's triple whatever it says. Okay, so now, okay, Forrest Gump. We're going to get 13 times 3 is 45 for us. It's actually way less because wrong culture, wrong religion, nobody cares. Get to take this stuff all you want. Lots of money, annul treaties. Give up pretend claims. Even though the nation will now be gone, giving up claims doesn't mean anything. It gives us prestige, so why not do it? Alright, we are done fighting in the east unless the Ottomans get really weak. I feel like the Janissaries event for the Ottomans just makes them unfightable. Especially since we took innovative instead of like quality as our first idea. We just could not fight the Ottomans successfully, I don't think. But we'll see. Maybe if France gets 40,000 troops, maybe our vassal and March get 70,000 troops each and like military tech 18. They're both very crappy military tech, unfortunately. Maybe there's a decision that can make Serbia better at military tech. Enable embargo rivals, subsidize armies. This gives them plus manpower. I've never been a huge fan of manpower. They should be using mercenaries. Fortify March, I could build forts in there. I don't care about that. Could make them Catholic. By the time I integrate my March, I will be admin 10 or higher, which means that I won't care that they're not Catholic. So let's give them manpower? No, they won't use it properly. Well, whatever. We'll give them some manpower because I don't care about my manpower or theirs. But more importantly, we're going to subsidize them. Give subsidies. We'll give them $2 a month in subsidies for 400 years. Just to make sure that they always have a reasonable sized army. You want them to be able to afford 5 mercenaries, right? And a mercenary costs 0.5. So 2.5 will give them 5 mercenaries, theoretically. I mean, they have to pay for their stupid forts, and they have their own income. So basically, you know, this will allow them to afford 5 mercenaries on top of whatever normal amount of money that they spend to run their country. Because a vassal with less than 5 troops is a crappy vassal. Alright, we could up our military tech. We've been focusing military specifically because we were going to take a military idea first, and then we didn't. But that's okay, because next month we can focus admin. Alright, time to start thinking about fighting Austria, but that will be next episode. Bye, guys!